All right. I'm back again with another video, and I'm gonna have to take my time with this one. I usually like to do my videos really quick, concise, and to the point. So feel free to get a cup of turmeric milk or whatever you like to drink, get your notepad and take notes. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe while you're listening to this video. Today, we are going to talk all about one of my favorite subjects I'm always so excited to talk about, and that's how to tell if someone is a soulmate. I've done quick clip videos of this type of information before, but I'm getting ready to go all in, and I'm going to be looking down and scribble scratching in the meantime because I have this many notes to share. This is almost a book. And I may include this in my Ori series that's coming out, my publication, because right now the workbook is out, the Ori workbook, which is just a quick kind of mindfulness, life scripting notebook. But when the book comes out, I may go ahead and just include this information in it. So buckle up, let's get started. Whew, I love this. Now, first of all, let me say this before I go all in. Once again, what I'm about to say, repeat after me. All soulmates are not romantic. Soulmates can be platonic. They can be a sibling. They can be anybody, school teacher, anyone. I've said this in so many videos. So just in case you're just now coming to this channel, remember, a soulmate is not just someone who is romantically tied to you. So let's go in. Number one on how to tell a soulmate. Instant connection. When you first meet someone, sometimes it's like you have to kind of get to know them. It's kind of skepticism, and it's kind of like you slowly but surely you grow on each other over time. See how I just did that? It's kind of a slow bonding, slow merging. With someone who is someone that's a member of your soul group, it's just like hand in glove. It just like slips in with no WD-40. It just goes right in. It's just instant compatibility immediately. It really doesn't take that long to see or realize that there's someone who is very familiar to you. You may not consciously realize they're in your soul group, but the energy is just so doggone compatible. It's like, dang, do I know you? It's just a really comforting type of energy. And how do I know that? Well, one of my friends from 7th grade, I met her in summer camp, and we immediately just took to one another. And my second most important best friend, who I met during my freshman year of high school, I met her the first day in, was it health class? And I ended up getting transferred out of that class, but we stayed connected, and we were all together all throughout adulthood, etc., before we had to part ways. But you will just know. And with the one from 7th grade and the one I met in 9th grade, we all merged because we went to the same high school together, and it was just like instant. It was nothing that had to be worked at. It wasn't any awkward conversations, silly, awkward small talk. It was just like hand in glove. Yeah, like I said, it wasn't awkward. It flowed. Everything flowed. The compatibility was there. With that being said, a karmic, I'm looking at my notes, you won't get that immediate with a karmic, like that immediate bonding, but it will come. It will come easy. It will be friendly energy sometimes it won't. Sometimes with a karmic, you may not like them at first, and you all end up growing on one another, and you all end up being really good friends, even stronger than the soulmate energy, because you all may stick together longer, but it doesn't matter. You can keep a soulmate throughout your lifetime too. But with a karmic, it's more of, hi, how are you? And then you see each other another time, and it's like, hi. And it's like each time you get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer as you get to know one another. With a soulmate, you don't really have to totally get to know them before that syncing begins. So that's the difference. That's one of the key differences in between those two relationships. And I'm not trying to say that a karmic relationship is inferior to a soulmate relationship, but it's that difference. One has to be worked at, but one you just slide into. Next up, number two, similar sense of humor over the silliest things. No one else may see it, but when you all are together, you're just like two goofball. So otherwise, you just have either a morbid sense of humor, or your sense of humor just gels over the smallest things. The way you, I don't know, mock people, the way, just everything just makes sense. You can make up goofy songs. It's just like the energy is just, the sense of humor is intensely compatible to where no one else will understand that energy. It's not, you know how you go somewhere and you're meeting people, hi, how are you, greetings, and it's kind of like you're at the dinner table with a group of people, and like a banquet or something, I don't know, and everybody's like talking and laughing, making small talk, and you know how you get that little kind of polite laugh, like it's not like that with soulmate energy. With soulmate energy, that laugh is from the stomach, it's from the diaphragm, it's genuine laughter. Now you can meet a karmic and have those bursts of laughter and sense of humor as well, but with the soulmate, it's like the quirky little things about what you would find funny, they find funny too, extremely funny. No matter how corny, like you can get other people that look at you too joking and stuff and laughing, and they're like, y'all tripping, like, you know, y'all so corny, things that you all find funny, whereas you get one another. You don't have to explain the joke. They get the joke and you get their joke. It makes so much sense. Let's see, I'm looking down at my notes. So with that being said, with someone who is in your soul group, I can attest to this, your laugh is almost identical. Not all the time, but especially if you're the same sex, like girls, women, guys, your laugh, when you're with your homegirls, or guys when you're with your homeboys or whatever, the laugh is so similar to where people who don't even know you can be in the grocery store together or at a festival, and they hear that signature laugh that you're not making it up, it's just how you both laugh. People who are strangers will turn around and go, oh, they're having a good time over there, or it's something about that laugh. In that particular laugh, excuse me, hold on, I'm getting ready to cough. Commercial break. Okay, with that particular laugh, what happens is when you're when you're not together and you're with other people, your laugh may be like a good social laugh. It'll be genuine, like, okay. But when you get with them, no matter how many years it's been, that laugh is going to be something that's always a signature laugh, whether you haven't seen them in 10 years. When you see them again, I don't care how mad you were, if something triggers you both to laugh at the same thing, that laugh is going to be identical and it's going to be genuine. It's almost like your signature type of soul sound almost. So that's another key clue. Now that doesn't mean everybody's going to have their signature laugh, but these are just one of the many clues. All of them are not going to fit. Especially with other people in your soul group. They may not have that signature laugh that you have with one of the other soul group members. So these are just things to keep in mind as signs and clues. Let's see, looking at my notes. Let's see. Oh yeah, so moods. Now this isn't always the case, but when you're on 10, whatever you find funny or whatever excites you, like, hey, that's my song that's coming on, they're gonna most likely be doing that too, like, oh yeah, that's my song. And it's like, it's not like you're on 2 and they're on 10 or vice versa. It's like the energy tends to match unless one of y'all are disagreeing with one another, you're on each other's nerves. But in general, the compatibility is so much to where the energy is equal. Have you ever been somewhere and you were all excited and pumped about something? You're on 8 and somebody else is giving you number 3 energy. Well, usually the energy is going to match the excitement level, the enthusiasm level, the humor level, even the sadness sometimes. Those moods, like when you're on 2, they're on 2. So the moods tend to match most of the time, not all of the time. Just one second. This is a live stream, so you have to listen to me scratch through my notes to make sure I got everything. Okay. Next up, your quirks won't shock them as much. With some people, they may be polite, they may tolerate or have to learn to live with your quirks, but with someone who is in your soul group, things that other people may notice and go, what is that all about? They'll be like, oh, what? I don't see anything. What are you talking about? It's like they won't even notice your quirks. So you won't even notice their quirks as much as much unless you all are really on each other's nerves. And when I say quirks, that doesn't mean like socially unacceptable, unsanitary things, but I mean maybe like I don't know, the way you eat your cereal, or some people, they may like, I don't know, ketchup on their eggs. I don't know, whatever it is. The quirks that annoy or baffle other people are not going to bother you as much. The innocent little quirks. I'm not talking about the rude things such as, you know, doing inappropriate things where people can smell bad. Nothing like that. I'm talking about the innocent little things. Maybe the way you twist your hair, or that's not going to bother them, or they're not going to notice that as much as somebody who's outside of that particular group. And once again, I'm not speaking of character flaws. Next up, number 4, your family immediately takes to them and feel an immediate kindred energy to the person, and they tend to quickly see them as a member of the family. Have you ever been in school or high school and you bring a friend over, or you're dating somebody, you have a date, and your family's like, oh, hi, oh, okay, yeah, nice to meet you. But with the person that's in your soul group, because your ancestral family tends to be familiar with your soul group family, even if certain family members are not in your soul group, since the clan's neighbor, if you looked at my sunflower method video, what happens is they know your best friend or your soulmate energy or your spouse. They know that person from a past life, so they remember them too. So if it's a positive sort of memory in their ori, in their unconscious, then they tend to have a positive reaction to that person. They immediately take to them like, hey, how are you? Yeah. Or they may say, where's that friend that you brought by the other day? Yeah, see if she wants to go to dinner with us. Or let's see if so-and-so and so. It's like, it's more of they immediately accept the person rather than you trying to force the person on them. So that's a key clue. When they come to, when they start to feel more like a best friend, if they start to feel more like a sister or cousin rather than a best friend, or if your guy, if he starts to feel more like a brother than a best friend, he's always at your house, y'all always spending the night at each other's house as children or teenagers, or even with a mate later on in life, it's like your mother or grandmother, whoever, they take to them easy. That's often someone in the soul group rather than someone who they're looking at like, how are you? Yeah, there's a big difference. With karmics, a lot of times, not all karmics, some karmics, if you have negative past life energy with a person or they did something detrimental, you will notice sometimes if you try to introduce that new boyfriend or new girlfriend, your mother or a family member may be like, I don't like him. I got a bad feeling about him. You know why? Because we tend not to see certain things or remember certain things because we're within ourselves. Whereas our ancestors and our blood family in this life and best friends and people, they can tend to remember what a karmic did in a past life if they did something negative. And when they say, I got that bad feeling, what they're doing is in their ori, they're unconsciously accessing a negative soul memory, and they're remembering, ooh, I got a bad feeling about this person. I don't know what it is, but something about that person, that tends to be karmic energy. Now, with a soulmate, if there was some betrayal in a past life with a soulmate, the family can still get that type of energy with that person. But what usually happens is they'll like them at first, or they'll accept them at first, and then once they start to get to know the person, they start to remember these negative feelings that come up. Let's see. Now with a karmic, like I said, I don't know if I said this already, I can't remember. With a karmic, your family may immediately accept them because all karmics are negative or abusive or toxic. They may accept them, but it may take a few more visits. It may take a few more visits, a few more times for your family and friends to meet them before they kind of gel into the clan. So that's the difference. The karmic has to work them, kind of charm their way into the group more than the soulmate who's kind of immediately accepted. Let's see. What else do we have? Oh yes. So an example of, your family kind of immediately adopting your best friend and so forth and so on. Think of Beyonce and Kelly Rowland, how the Knowles family, they took on Kelly as like a sister of Beyonce. Tina and Matthew, they took her on as like one of the children. So that's an example of soulmate energy, where a person, they just immediately gel with the family and they stick around longer than people who kind of just passing through. So that's just one example to think of. And that's how it is with my son and his best friend. So now he's my bonus son. So with that being said, Number 5 is similar life story obstacles. If you can look back on your childhood or even in adulthood, meeting other soulmates and people in your soul group as you go along in your life, because you meet throughout your lifetime, not just childhood, you may find when you're talking to them, you may find, oh, your mother was an alcoholic too? Oh, your dad, he used to, I don't know, any kind of thing where there's something alike, whether it's positive or negative, you usually have a similar story. Like with my particular soul, one of my important soul group members, she was raised by her grandmother a little bit, and I was raised by my grandmother. So we were like, oh, you're raised by your grandmother too? So we had certain things in common to where it was just like the same similar kind of life stories or childhoods and things like that. With the other soul group member, we had other things in common besides having the type of parental story or, family story and family dynamic. With her, it was more of, having kind of a strict environment or being a little different. So that was the thing that we had in common. And also parents being on PTO together and all those type of things. So all of those are little clues. When the families start to do things together, when your parents or grandparents or friends starts to befriend their parents and they start to get together and invite each other to things and everybody starts to trust one another, that tends to be how soul clans and soul families interact and mingle and come together in this life, as above, so below. So that's how it usually happens. With the case of my kid sister, she's not a kid anymore, of course, but with my middle sister, she has the same dynamic with her soul group members to where my mother and her best friend's mother, they ended up being like sisters. Her mother has passed away now, but it's just like everybody became family. It's like no one even called each other, oh, that's my friend. It was like, oh, this is Auntie so-and-so. So my sister, I hope I'm not losing you, my sister's best friend's mother, we started calling her Auntie. So we forgot almost that she wasn't our blood auntie because it's like the energy was so familiar. So that tends to happen a lot. It's also a cultural thing too, where you kind of take on play cousins and things such as that. With that being said about similar life stories and obstacles, let me make sure I'm saying everything. With your soul group member, you will often find, like if you're the oldest sibling, they may be the oldest sibling. Or if you're the youngest sibling, they may be the youngest sibling. Not always, but it tends to be a common theme. Or if you are the middle child, they are the middle child. So that tends to be something that runs along too. Not always accurate, but that's another clue. You tend to have, like, once again, the same kind of blueprint, the same kind of life story blueprint about how things begin. And even though you may start out together, that doesn't mean you're going to end up together in this life, because you could have something happen. You all have no choice but to part ways to learn your soul lessons, but the karmic blueprint tends to kind of be the same at the starting point and the history of your lifetime, especially starting at childhood. And even if you meet them as an adult, like you say, if you meet, the love of your life and you find out, oh, well, my dad was a football coach too, or so forth and so on, all those tend to be clues. It's not always dysfunctional clues about your family that are similar, a life story, but it can be positive things too. Oh, your dad was a wrestler, or my dad was a wrestler, etc., etc. Let's see what else. Similar hobbies and extracurricular activities, especially in childhood and as a teenager. Say, for instance, you met your soul group member and you were a cheerleader, so you all were both cheerleaders, so you met like that, or you all were both on the football team, or you all were both majorettes, or you were on the debate team, or you played soccer together. All of those things tend to kind of bring people together. Maybe you had an after-school job with them, maybe you both worked at the library. All of those things tend to be clues. You all tend to have something similar in common that you all are doing that ends up kind of putting you together and allowing you to meet one another, which is staged by the soul before you're even born. Let's see what else. Similar talents. You all, you might have a gift of singing, and they might be able to sing as well. So you all start a singing group, or maybe somebody's a drummer, the other one's a guitarist. So that gives you all a common bond to create a band, etc., etc. Similar talents or working in the same field tends to be a clue. Maybe you all are maybe you all are majoring in theater art, so one of you all is more into the lighting or the costumes, where the other is the actress or the actor, and that tends to also bring you together. Kind of similar interest. or even similar religious backgrounds, like maybe meeting at a church, mosque, temple, etc., etc. Also, you may tend to like the same kind of quirky movies and things such as that, but that tends to be more of a soul family cultural thing, but that's also a clue, but not always. Because a karmic could like the type of movies you like as well. Let's see what else. We're getting along in here. Let me digress really quick to say, when I do my live streams like this, when I have a big video especially, I tend to live stream unlisted and then I publicize it, because when I have a lot of people talking at the same time, it throws off my stream of consciousness. And I like to make my videos concise as possible instead of me stopping to speak to everyone, hey, this and that, because it tends to also interrupt when people are seriously taking notes when I stop and address everyone. So there will be times where I'm going to come on live stream, but it'll be more to socialize. But when I'm doing these informative videos, I tend to do it like this so that I can concentrate, because I know y'all don't want to hear me speaking to everybody, because when I watch other live streams, I get annoyed when they stop to address everybody or ask everyone's questions instead of waiting till the end of the video. So that's why I do it like that. I'm not avoiding you all. But back to the topic, we are on number 6. Astrological compatibility is also a clue of someone that's in your soul group in this lifetime. Not always, because there are millions of Geminis, there are millions of Libras and Aquariuses, etc., etc. But when you tend to gel with somebody and you all are astrologically compatible and you have a few of these other checkpoints that's mentioned in this video, that's often a clue of someone who could be in your soul group. You know, compatible sun sign, compatible moon sign. Maybe if you have the exact same moon sign, maybe your moon is both in Scorpio, or maybe you are maybe you're an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and they are a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius as well, or maybe air sign, fire sign compatibility, that sextile quality of Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, within those typical 6 groups. Then you all tend to have that compatibility. Maybe you're a Gemini with an Aries, or a Leo with an Aquarius, etc., etc. It tends to be within that sextile compatible energy. With the water and earth signs, it tends to be Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, and it tends to be Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, that particular mix of the 6 signs. But keep in mind, this is not always the case. You can have someone in your soul group that's a square, like a Gemini Virgo, or Gemini Pisces, or Scorpio Leo, which tends to be that square kind of incompatible energy that you have to work at. But the biggest clue tends to be when you all are compatible, especially in your main aspects of your chart, such as the sun sign and the moon sign, because the moon is how you express emotions, not romantic emotions, but how you care about people, your intuition, your relationship with your mother, how you relate to your family, your love, your platonic love language, how you feel about your family, friends, and siblings. So that's also a clue as well. And I'm sure other aspects of the chart, but this is an astrology video, so I'm not going to get too deep into that. Moving on to number 7. You all have to be careful of taking each other for granted, because you know they'll always be there, or you know some way, somehow unconsciously, that you're always connected. No matter if it's been 10 years, no matter if you're in America and they're in China, you always tend to feel that connection regardless. So that's a clue. There's a subconscious confidence that you're connected even if you're on the other side of the world. So with that being said, if you offend them or they offend you, you can tend to think, oh, she'll get over it, or he'll get over it. He's just acting crazy like he always does. You know, with those particular things, we have to be careful of taking our soul group members for granted, because we always feel connected to them and tied to them, even if it's been a long time. With that being said, number 8 is the concept of, once again, as above, so below. If you're able to dream and astral travel, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about if you have vivid dreams and traveling experiences. If they are a pathological liar in this life, they are going to be a pathological liar in your dreams. So if you have a dream about them and they're acting a fool and they're lying to your face, or vice versa, you're the liar, and so you end up lying to them in your dreams, as above, so below, because the thing is, you're not in the ancestral realm, you're not passed away, you're still in your human body, so you still have your character in this life. So you tend to still act the same way even in the dream state, because the difference is our bodies, our physical 3D bodies need sleep, our souls doesn't. So, you know, while our bodies are asleep, our souls just like, let me find something to do, let me roam around the cosmos, connected to the astral cord, the invisible astral cord between your 3D body and your astral body. So your astral body roams around the realms, the spiritual realms, and you tend to bump into people that you know in this life, both deceased and alive. So with that being said, how they're acting down here is usually how they're going to act when you meet them in the astral realm, when you're in your dream state, especially if it's at night, everyone's asleep, especially. So with that being said, if they're messy and they're gossipers down here, then they're going to be messy and gossipy down there. You're going to have a dream about them acting the same way. If they owe you money and they're avoiding you down here, they're going to be running away from you in your dreams, or vice versa. If you owe them money and you're avoiding them, they're going to be chasing you in your dreams. Let's see. The character is going to be the same when you meet, because really when you have those type of dreams where you come across certain soul group members, the thing is, even karmic sometimes, the thing is that the character stays the same based on elevation. Now, if you have a friend that passed away and you have a dream about them, sometimes they'll act a little more mature or a little different, especially if it's been years, especially if they've had time to elevate a little bit, and maybe 5 years later you have a dream about them and they seem to act more mature, calm, and collected, like they've kind of mended their ways. That's because they're in the ancestral realm. But when you're still alive, you tend to kind of act the same way. If you're getting along on a positive note with your soul group members in this life and you have a dream about them, you're going to get along with them when you're traveling in the astral realm. That's a clue. Let's see what else we have here. Let's see. If you're attracted to one of your soul group members, that lust you have down here, it may express itself in some sort of ways. You may tend to flirt with each other in the astral realms, if it's an ex or someone like that. However you feel about each other or don't feel about each other, that tends to be how it is. If you're angry and not talking to them, or they're mad at you, you're mad at them, it's gonna be the same thing. They're gonna be giving you the cold shoulder up there if they're giving you the cold shoulder down here, and vice versa. Things tend to be the same. Let's see. And that's how you know it's the difference between a dream and a real astral encounter, which you should take notes of to keep things in mind about how they're acting in the spirit realm. Because sometimes if you all are not talking, you can get a clue of where you stand with them by having those certain dreams. If you get a dream to where you get a bad vibe, to where they're like selfish or sociopathic and all of that, if you pick up on that energy in your dreams, write down in your dream journal when you're awake, that's how they acted, especially if you're not sure how they feel about you, what they think about you. Keep those things in mind. It's often an element or kernel of truth in that can be used as a warning in the future. So if it's bad here, it's going to be bad in the astral travel. If it's good here, it's going to be good up there too. Number 9, you all have to be careful of becoming so comfortable with each other that you stop striving to do your best and be your best. I'll repeat that because it's kind of a long statement. You have to be careful, both of you have to be mutually careful, or all of you have to be mutually careful of becoming so comfortable with each other that you stop striving to do your best and be your best. So with that being said, you all may reinforce each other's bad habits. Hey, shoot, you want to go exercise? Sure, yeah, let's go exercise. And then an hour later, you know what? Let's go get a pizza, girl. We'll go exercise tomorrow. All of those type of things can happen. Or say, dude, you want to smoke something? We'll go exercise tomorrow. We'll worry about it tomorrow. Let's just smoke today. Bad habits tend to be reinforced with your soul group members. Karmics too, but soul group members, you all tend to have the same triggers that tend to pull you back into a bad habit or a cycle. Let's see, like say for instance, if you have a problem of sleeping too late or you sleep too heavy, your soul group member probably sleeps late and they sleep heavy too. They're probably not light sleepers. So you all tend to have the same thing. So nobody's able to wake the other person up or do this or that because you all have the same weaknesses in certain ways, especially in character. If one talks too much and can't keep secrets, you probably talk too much and can't keep secrets too. So a lot of those things are clues. If your homegirl, if she tends to be lustful, you have a lustful streak too, or all types of things like that. If you're a guy and you tend to be a womanizer, your soul group member, he's probably a womanizer to his girlfriends and his wives as well. Let's see, kindred comfort could keep you caught in cycles that could cause stagnant energy in other areas of your life and bring out the worst in each other. That goes back to what I was saying about, hey, let's go get a pizza, we'll exercise tomorrow, and you keep putting it off and putting it off because you're so comfortable together there's not really a lot of, even when you try to make some ambitious moves, you don't go as far up the street as you could because you're so comfortable where you are, to where sometimes it takes that friction and that gravity to get you to go forward and to motivate you to do a little more. Maybe I will take that trip. Maybe I will take that job across the state. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do that. It's like when you're around your soul group members too much and you're kind of stuck in a comfortable cycle of habits, you tend not to go outside of the box because that energy is so familiar to where you don't really want to venture out past their energy. But note, I have a special note for you. If you and your soul group are more evolved or maturing on a soul level, you're going to bring out the best in each other and you're going to get more accomplished. Once again, that goes back to Beyonce and Kelly Rowland. All soul groups, they're not all toxic and eating bad foods and not exercising and drinking and being addicted together. They can also do a lot of great things together too, especially when they're very clear about their purpose early on in life, like the Jackson 5 family, etc., and the people they came across, the Berry Gordys, the Karmics, and people like that, the Diana Rosses. They tend to help each other, but keep this in mind. Even though they can do great things together, like say for instance, if you start a childhood singing group or something like that, on the other hand, after you've accomplished all of these great things with one another, you can still go back to doing those bad habits. Like say for instance, you just, won a Grammy with your soul group member because you have this great band, or you win a Nobel Prize together, or you make some great invention, and then you say, hey, let's go to the bar, and then you both get sloppy drunk, and both of y'all are so drunk, the bartender has to call someone to wheel you to take you all home or call you an Uber because both of y'all have the same bad habits. So keep in mind, your same strengths can also still mean the same weaknesses because everything has an inverse and a flip side. So you can still reinforce certain bad habits even though you're getting great things accomplished. So those are different variables in how the soul group energy can go in this lifetime. It's not always good or bad, and sometimes it's a little mix of both. Let's see, going along pretty quickly, faster than I thought. I thought this would take an hour. So with that said, the laughter and bliss and compatibility can be so great with them that not much else gets accomplished. This is the negative side. This is when you're less evolved or there's soul trauma to work through. It's like nothing gets accomplished. It's like you all are having the time of your life. You're laughing, you're joking, you're going out every week and this and that. But both of your bills are late. You got traffic tickets piling up. You're not getting along with other people. You may be both of y'all may be having a stroke of bad luck. All of those different type of things. You all may not be able to keep a relationship, but y'all are having the time of your life when you're together. It can be that type of energy. So bettering yourselves individually may be an uphill battle when you're too much together and too close to one another due to that vortex of comfort. But you could be having the time of your life. You're so comfortable, you're having the time of your life. But once again, that energy, that comfort, it can cause everything else to fall apart around you while you're having this funky good time. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And that's when something will happen. Either the souls will stage or pre-stage before you're born a betrayal that separates you two, or some big just some big blow up that separates you all, and that's usually for the purpose of you all going separate ways so y'all can get your individual soul missions accomplished in this life, because being together too much can tend to mess that up. Like I've said in many of my other videos, if you see two children in a classroom and they're best friends and they're playing around making noise, getting in trouble, the teacher will separate them and put them in a different group with people who they're not as familiar with, and then they're going to get their work done more, rather than when they're sitting with their best friend in class making jokes and doing all types of mischievous stuff. Also, keep in mind, when I'm talking about soul groups, I'm still talking about the Ifa concept, Egbe, Orun, but this is the more, how would I put it? I don't like the word New Age, but this is the more universal translation of what the Yoruba is saying and other different cultures that speak of soul groups that come here in this life. Also, another note, just like I did in the spirit guide video, some of your soul group members are here incarnated, some of them stayed back in the heavenly realm. So all of them are not here. Please go back and look at my videos in the description box about spirit guides and what they are all about, because it kind of better explains your invisible soul group who did not incarnate here with you and how they help you all who are here and who are alive. This one is more about your living soul group members, living Egbe Orun. Next up, number 10, they understand why you do what you do more than anyone else. And they call you out on it without hesitation, whether it's good or whether it's bad. They understand your motivations, your modus operandi, and just how you operate in general. Your character flaws, your weaknesses, your strengths. They tend to know it and call you on it. Other people will be diplomatic. Other people will be diplomatic if they notice a character flaw about you, like, oh, no, you don't talk too much, you just this and that. Whereas your soul group member, it's like, for instance, if you're a pathological liar, you go, stop lying, you know you lying, why you say that? It's like they just immediately, and they're comfortable telling you about yourself like it is. They don't mince words like someone who's just tolerating you of being polite. Or say, for instance, if you have a friend and you're hating on somebody and your friend says, stop hating. Why are you hating on that man? Don't do that. It's like they immediately put you in check for certain character flaws. And they know when you're BSing other people. They'll be like, why you tell that girl that? Why did you do that? They'll immediately know. Let's see. They see through your facade and know exactly what you really mean. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to go tonight, they'll know, oh, you still mad at me about so and so and so and so. They'll see through your facade immediately. Now with a karmic, if you're with a karmic for a long time in your life, say 10 years or even, I don't know, a couple of years, they'll get comfortable with you to where they become familiar with your quirks and why you act the way you do as well. But with soul group members, they tend to know it like immediately off bat, like within a year or so. They tend to know why, oh, you got an attitude because I said this yesterday. You still mad about that? So it's that type of energy with the soul group. They can often predict what you'll do next or how you will respond, either to them or other people, especially with other people. They make you realize things about yourself you hadn't quite thought about before. Now, a lot of people tend to pride themselves on being very self-aware, but sometimes a soul group member can say something to you and it's like, I didn't think about that. Okay. And if you're very mature and you're working on your self-awareness and mindfulness, you'll take it as, oh, I appreciate you telling me that. I didn't think about that. Okay, now I understand. Especially when they're trying to explain to you why people are acting a certain way or perceiving you a certain way. They'll tell you, well, you did do this, you did do that. So they'll show you and point out certain things to better translate it to you. Whereas an outside person, you'd be offended if they tried to translate it. But they'll speak your language in a way to it's like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. So it's that type of energy. Next up, criticism, disapproval. Yes, criticism and disapproval by them doesn't feel like judgment and rejection. So when they tell you something or they put you in check or you put them in check, it's not gonna feel like, oh my God, this person hates me, they're hating on me, they don't like me, they don't accept me, they reject me. It just feels like, oh, okay, you know, she's just nagging right now, he's just nagging. There's a different type of energy to where you still feel welcome, you still feel connected rather than cast out or disconnected. Even if y'all say, you know, I'm not ever talking to you again in this life, Even with that, even if you all totally condemn one another for a great betrayal, whatever it is, it's like you still have this kindred energy regardless, as if it's, rather than if it's someone who's not in that soul group circle. Number 11, another clue, not always, but another clue of a soul group member is they tend to be close to your generation. Now, you can have someone who's in your soul group that's a parent, like your mother could be. She could have been a sister in a past life. I'm going deep on this, so if you don't believe it, just consider this entertainment. But your mother could have been a sister in a past life, vice versa. Your mother could be a karmic, etc., your father. But usually, soul group members tend to be within 3 to 4 years of age with one another. Commonly, if you look at the research done by certain metaphysicists, they tend to find that soul group members tend to be within the same generation and age range. Now, it can go up to 10 years, but it tends to be about the same. Especially with same sex, like female platonic best friends or male platonic best friends, they tend to be within 3 to 4 years of age of one another. Same age, or one's a year older, etc., etc. Let's see. Okay, so we're pretty much done. The biggest note I want to say out of everything in this video is, just because they are your soulmate or in your soul group does not mean that they are a good friend to you or will always be a good friend to you in this life. Repeat after me. Just because a person is in your soul group or is a soulmate does not mean they are a good friend, spouse, or sibling. So that doesn't mean they're going to always do right by you. That doesn't mean they won't ever be envious of you. That doesn't ever mean that they won't betray you or do negative things or think bad thoughts or tell your business. Because in our cosmology, we talk about, once again, the best friend is the worst enemy. No one knows you like your best friend because they know your secrets. They know your mistakes and all those different types of stuff. Your weaknesses, strengths. They know you better than anyone else. So when they become an enemy, it almost becomes a worse enemy than someone who really doesn't know you as well and just generally socially doesn't like you. So that's one thing you have to be careful of with soulmates. I want you to keep that in mind and not get too caught up in the sparkles and bubbles of, oh my God, I'm not alone. So in the spirit realm, you have to still keep in mind, sometimes betrayals are staged. Please repeat after me this. I wish I could write it in the caption, but this is a live stream. Sometimes betrayals are staged in the soul contract, because that's part of the process to come help learn in this life. If all you all were born to do was just come down here and play and have a merry good time, you could have stayed in the heavenly realms. You could have stayed in the ancestral realm, in the spirit realm. But you came down here to do certain things and play certain roles. And in order to learn, for both of you all souls to mutually evolve, sometimes betrayal is part of the life script to learn the lesson. So even more so, it's very important to learn to forgive, because you're always connected to that person. So if they haven't forgiven you, that rot that they feel about you is going to affect them, and vice versa. So keep that in mind. That doesn't mean that they won't sleep with your spouse or do all kind of negative things. So just remember, it's not always sparkles and bubbles. And it doesn't mean you have to put up with their crap. There's still a thing about self-respect and standing up for yourself. And that could be part of the soul lesson, is dismissing them in this life so that they learn to respect you and get the proper space. There's an African proverb that says, familiarity breeds contempt. Distance breeds respect. Sometimes you need that distance in order to better understand each other and get a better glimpse of each other's individual soul energy. Because if you saw my sunflower video, that analogy alludes to us being like petals connected to a sunflower, but each petal is individualized, even though everything is all connected in one. So sometimes there's a need to appreciate the fellow petal that's next to you. So that's part of the soul lesson energy as well. Let's see. So with that being said, know when you need to take a break from each other to go learn the lessons elsewhere and respect the space. You're always connected. I don't care how angry you are, how much you hate their guts or vice versa. You're always connected when they're your soul group member. If we are all one esoterically as a human race, then you definitely are one with your soul group. Petals of the same flower. Let's see. Final note, having soul group members and soulmates, not all romantic, twin flames, etc., it doesn't take the importance away from your karmics and your kindreds, because they are part of your soul family. And ultimately, even if someone's not in your collective consciousness soul family, we are all still one. So if you go back and look at this, at the sunflower method video, I talked about looking at a sunflower and the petals. On one stem of a sunflower, that's the soul group. The neighboring petals within a bouquet, that's the karmics and the soul clan, and a whole bouquet would be your soul family. Now, if you go get another whole bouquet of flowers and you add that to a garden with your group, and then more bouquets of flowers within one garden, we are all still one within the garden. We are all still one within the body of the Almighty. So, with that being said, let's respect each other's individuality. It will be very difficult for you to respect any God or being or deity above you if you cannot respect the God, being, or deity in you and in others. Peace and bliss. Like, share, and subscribe.